Hey, there we are.
Hey, my friends! It's noon on Monday. Welcome to the farm. We're at Farm to Table Kids today in North Yarmouth. At Farm to Table Kids, we teach little kids how to farm, and we love it. We are here with Cameron Bonsi.
I'm back here. I helped out some. I helped out Steph.
He got his hands dirty guys. Before noon. He got his hands dirty.
It was unusual. Yeah.
So today we're going to be doing square foot gardening and also talking about companion planting, which is such a big deal, especially when you're gardening organically with kids. Companion planting really does help with disease and pest management. So throw out any questions that you have. Yep. That's why Cameron is on.
It's right here. I can read, and every once in a while I actually see the questions that come in.
He's been trained for this.
I have.
So if you have any questions, let us know as you go. I'm going to show you how we're going to prep this bed and plant it as an example of a square foot companion garden. It's at the entrance to the Farm to Table Kids greenhouse. So this is kind of our welcome garden. So it's the perfect garden for us to use
beautiful
as our learning space for companion planting. Now, before we do anything in any of the garden beds at Farm to Table Kids, Cameron, you know this, but I've got to get my sunflowers.
No, I don't know this because, Steph, remember, I pulled up some of these.
I know, and I snagged them. You were okay.
And I saw the fire in your eyes.
That's right. I was like, those are my babies!
I know.
So these are my little sunflower friends. A lot of the birds will come and beautifully volunteer these sunflowers to us. And as you guys know, I love sunflower forest. It's one of the biggest things our farm kids love to play with here. So we'll just take these sunflowers and actually transplant them right over to sunflower forest later. So everything else in here, we do have some garlic and some sweet pea that's going to stay right here. Everything else we're going to plant fresh. So one way to get this garden bed ready is I'm just going to take my rake and loosen up the soil. I'm not going to do anything too fancy to this. We are about adding to our soil. We want to add as much organic matter to our soil as possible and not take soil away or break down the top layer. So I'm just giving it a nice delicate rake. I'm actually going to hill it up. There you go. And then I did have tulips in here. So Cameron and I did just go through and pull up some tulip bulbs. I actually keep these. I overwinter them in my garage and then I will replant them in the fall. Okay, now the best way to get your bed ready for planting is to add Coast of Maine Castine blend to the top dress of the soil.
Of course it is.
I mean, obviously,
yeah,
right?
I mean, it is the best. So.
But honestly, look at this. Like, look, this is fantastic soil, but look at this soil. Oh, how do you get it so black like that?
See, I want to play with it.
Oh, you just want to rub your hands in it? Oh, it's nice. So good.
Yeah.
So you can like feel the soil actually take an exhale as you put it in there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Tell us what some of the really yummy things in the soil are and what it's doing
well, first,
right now.
We're world-class composters, so we compost first. And then with the Castine raised bed mix, we add in biochar. Biochar actually helps to hold the nutrients in the soil.
Look at how it just makes so beautifully.
No, it's amazing.
Into the garden bed.
We also add some kelp in there. We've got some green sand to give it the soil some mineral content.
Because where Maine is.
That's exactly right. So, and it's approved for organic growers. So, made in Maine, beautiful stuff.
Gorgeous. Okay, I'm just making sure the garlic gets some of this love too. Now, you guys can see we put down these little runners so that you can get a visual idea of the square foot gardening we're going to do today. So I'll just lay that down there. And you don't have to do this when you're doing your garden. However, I do this with kids as a lesson for square foot gardening, and when we do it as a class, the kids love it, and this is a great visual to display to them exactly how you can do this, because as we always say, you want to read the back of your seed packets. So always read the back of your seed packets for plant spacing. That doesn't change in this exercise. Square foot gardening is just about maximizing your space and using the plants to do what they do in nature best, but to use their natural abilities, characteristics to help with disease and pest management. Okay, so that's going to give us a pretty good idea.
So, and the other thing is, I think people sometimes get caught up in these things and think they have to have it 12 inches by 12 inches.
And
I mean, that's the piece that get people
farm with kids.
Yeah.
Nothing you do, nothing that I do
Yep.
is ever to the T or ever
Yep.
measured like exactly to the inch, because we're farming with kids. So it's a great rule of thumb, and 100% always
Yep.
read the back of those packets. But again, this isn't an exact science where it's not going to work if you don't do it a specific way.
No, that's what happens, especially with young gardeners. They think they
Yeah.
have to follow every instruction.
Totally, and you don't. So, okay, this gives us an idea of each square being about a foot. You saw me do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't exact, it wasn't specific.
Sure.
So what we're going to do, Cameron, is I was showing you my kind of template that I have, and
Yep.
we will post this, but Farm to Table Kids
Yep.
has this really cute companion planting chart, and it tells you why certain vegetables are beneficial to others. So it's in black and white. We'll get a nice color
Yep.
chart for the website. But the first thing I'm going to do is, this garden bed is often the first one that kids see when they come down to camp. And when they see a garden bed, they want to snack. So,
Yep, exactly.
we're going to plant some very prolific sun golds. Sun golds are all the kids' just favorite tomato. And we're going to plant some of these down at the end here. Anytime you're doing square foot gardening with tomatoes, each square foot only gets one tomato. You want to make sure your tomatoes have plenty of space, and you don't want to overcrowd them, which is why I'm kind of putting them down.
They're
here.
always way bigger than what people expect them
Totally,
to be. I've
always
made that
way
mistake a million times.
And as you know, you guys, we have been growing these things together on our Facebook, Mondays at noon, since they were baby seeds. So you guys, yay, look at us! Yes, we've been together for a while now.
That's awesome.
And so this, as you know, when we transplanted it the first time into its 4-inch pot, we buried the stem completely
Yep.
and planted right up to the first leaf. This is the cotyledon. We're going to take that off. I'm also just going to take off, I'm going to pinch these right now.
Yep.
And take off the ones at the intersections here. I always leave the top ones because if something were to ever damage the plant and the primary
Those are gonna-
stem were damaged,
Yep.
this would take over as the backups.
Okay.
So always leave 2 backups. Now I'm going to take this and plant the whole stem again. So I'm going to go all the way in and plant right past
Same thing we did.
the first one. Same thing we did when it was little.
Yep.
And then for tomatoes, you want to make sure there's at least 24-inch spacing between your tomatoes. Don't skimp on that, because with tomatoes, blight can be such an issue,
Yeah.
and leaves only need to touch to share blight and then pass it to the other ones. The more you can prune and the more airflow circulation you have around all your plants, the healthier they're going to be. Now, now that I say that, if I put this here together, that's not enough spacing for me. I want them to have more room. So I'm actually going to move this up to the front row here. Make sure I cover that stem. And then I'm going to pop this guy over here. And that way they have enough space. And we always want to make sure we label. Label, label, label. Cameron, I'm so good at my labels.
Is it
this
too
year.
early, Leslie?
Yeah.
She says,
good.
is it too early for planting tomatoes in zone 6?
It is, yeah. I would say, so right now, we're in zone 5B.
Yep.
It's early for me to plant tomatoes right now.
Yep.
This is right outside of our greenhouse, and this is just an example that we're doing right now. We are not planting our field tomatoes out yet. We'll probably plant those out the last week of May or the first week of June.
Yep.
Here in zone 5B, we got hit by a frost on June 5th last year. But these tomatoes I am going to just put out, and if I think we're going to get a cold night, I can easily cover these and they'll be okay from frost. So then, tomatoes love being partnered with basil and other herbs. So let me show you what we're going to do here. Some things we're going to plant direct from seed, and other things we're going to transplant from our transplants. So you guys have been growing a lot of these things with us as we've been growing from seed.
And they're all tagged.
They're all tagged,
It's so
labeled.
good.
Oh, it looks
They
so
even
good.
have different colors in
I
this
know.
one. Do
They
those
look
represent
fantastic.
anything, or is that?
No, the kids just did it that way.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So basil loves being partnered with tomato. They help with the flavor of the tomato, and they also help with pest management. So
it will enhance the flavor of the tomato.
It really does, yeah.
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So I would actually put, I think I'm going to do a little herb section right here. And I'm going to do 1 basil, 1 thyme, and thyme will get big. The other thing you have to think of when you're planting right now, and this is the hardest part is saving space and not throwing plants and seed into every square inch, because they really are going to grow so big and so tall. And the healthier and the more airflow circulation you can get to your plants, the healthier they'll be all season long. So do not jam pack it, but it's so hard not to. So, okay. We've got some herbs here. I'm going to put parsley on the end because parsley is great to deter pests and deer and things like that. And basil works well with tomatoes. I'll probably add more basil. Something I love putting next to my tomatoes are also my peppers. I love putting peppers right in the middle. They just do so well with heat and sun. So I'm going to put them right in here. And I'm going to do 2 peppers per square foot. So we might need another one. We'll get another pepper. Cameron can get us another pepper.
Is that the... Well, she couldn't wait for me, obviously. Steph doesn't wait for anything. She'll be back as we look at the pepper. Also with our soils, if you ever have any issues with blossom end rot, our soils are also significantly high in calcium that help with that, just so you know. Oh, she's back.
So now we have another pepper. And the thing is, whenever you are transplanting, I always hold on to my seed packets. So even though we planted these seeds for our peppers back in February, I still hold on to those seed packets. So you can always reference the spacing and harvest times and things like that. The other thing, if you don't have your seed packets, you can always go onto the website or into the brochure and catalog and look them up that way. The other thing to keep in mind during this time of year is your cold weather crops and your warm weather crops. So as I'm planting this, I'm keeping in mind we still are going to have some cold nights and days ahead of us, and I want to be able to cover and take care of the crops that will need cover. So I'm going to keep them all in the same relative area. So right now my tomatoes, my basil, and my peppers are on this side. Those are all very sensitive to cold, and they will need to be covered if we get some cold weather nights. So I'm going to put my cool weather crops on this side and know that they're going to be okay. So my cool weather crops are my things like lettuce, kale, arugula, and spinach. So for my spinach again, this is a bloom stale, so it's a nice big full spinach. It'll get nice and big. So I'm just going to put 2 per square foot. And anytime we are, oh, look at my labels, Cameron.
Oh, those are just perfect.
I'm really just like outdoing myself.
I'm going to start labeling my clothes. That's
incredible. One of my little pet peeves is that sometimes up against the wall here, they don't get enough soil. So I want to make sure we get enough soil there. Whenever I'm planting with kids, you guys, big thing. When you're planting with kids, anytime you're transplanting something like this from a cell tray, make sure you cover the whole soil block. Cameron, you've heard me say this 1,000 times with the kids, but it's basically like a kitchen sponge. And if you leave it exposed to the soil, that's going to absorb air and not the nutrients in the soil. So make sure this is completely covered. You don't need to bury your plant this deep, but make sure the whole soil block is completely covered. And so for romaine, I would put about, I want this to get nice and big, so I'm going to put 2 per block here. And then I'm going to put about 4 of the lettuce in here. This large leaf lettuce, I'm going to do 2 of. Kale, I would say you could do up to 3 per block. And again, kale's one of those things where it's like the more space you give it, the more it'll grow for you. So I'm going to label these as I go. We've got our arugula, spinach, red leaf lettuce, and romaine. And then this is perfect because I love planting certain things direct from seed. You'll notice cucumbers and beans, I don't have seeded yet. or carrots or beets. And I love to seed those things direct. So I'm gonna use my seed right here. You can stay right there, Cameron.
Good, because I didn't want to move. I mean, I'm doing, you know, I'm doing so much work back here. I'm exhausted.
So right now, I like partnering my carrots and my beets together because they're both root vegetables that take a while, and the kids, they don't like to be patient about it. So that's another reason why I put them right in the middle, is because kids, they're not that patient when it comes to waiting for their carrots and their beets. The beets will be ready before the carrots, but the carrots are going to take a while. So we're going to put them right here, and I'm just going to do one row carrot, one row beet, and another row of carrots. And these are pelleted. A lot of times people ask the difference between pelleted and non-pelleted seeds. A carrot seed otherwise looks like dust. So
Yep.
pelleted seeds cost more money, but you save money by not having to, by being able to know how many you're putting in the ground. Otherwise, when you plant carrot seeds, they really are like little grains of dust. And
what do you do for this over here?
That one I can't control. We can't. There's some seeds you're just gonna lose to pests and animals, and that's the part of gardening with dogs and children.
So, what percentage of those do you expect to actually germinate?
Well, let's see, germination rate. This is Johnny's Golden Nugget carrot, and let's see, it's 68 days. So I would expect like 80% to germinate.
Okay.
Yeah. We have, usually they tell you the germination rate. Germination rate. I don't see it on here. But yeah, I would say Johnny's seeds have wicked great germination.
No, they're awesome.
And then you can see the difference in the beet seed. Again, these are easy for kids to carry and hold, so they're great to direct seed with them. And when it comes to planting carrots and beets, I don't worry about thinning right now. Eventually, you will want to thin your carrots, especially. Beets, I don't worry about thinning that much, but they will absolutely grow bigger if you give them more space. So now,
why is it you don't worry about beets thinning?
Because if you read the back of their packet,
okay,
they will tell you that they don't, well, the variety that I get is specific. It's a compact beet plant that doesn't require thinning.
Okay.
And so it's made for that.
That's what I mean.
Again, I'm more of like a low maintenance type of approach because I have to farm with kids. So it has to be just low maintenance.
Yep.
And as you can see, I'm just taking some soil and delicately covering those up. Seeds only have to go down double their width. So that's really not that deep. And I'm just delicately covering this. And I'm going to leave these here so that I know what I just planted so I can get my label. And then the other thing that I love to direct sow are cucumbers and beans. Cucumbers, yes, you can transplant them, and we will. We have like 400 in the greenhouse that will be transplanted out to the fields, but they just do really well, and they grow so quickly from seed that if you put them in right now, they're just going to be that much more adapted to the environment and just be already strong and ready. So
while you were talking, and right about the time you did it, Angie Marino said, don't forget to label your carrots and beets, Farmer Steph. So she was on it.
Thank you!
She's paying attention.
Thank you so much! Because I need that support. I need those constant reminders. I really do. So we have a cute little fence set up in the back here, and we have some shelling pea seeds that I'm going to put in here. So let's do some Lexington Progress shell beans, and we'll put them right in between our garlic. One thing that I always do, because I don't have it memorized, is I always check my chart. So Cameron, you take this and look up beans.
Okay.
And tell me what it says.
Okay, it says with beans, it says broccoli, carrots, cauliflower, corn, cucumber, peas, rosemary, strawberry, Swiss chard, tomatoes, thyme, sage, chives, garlic, leeks, marigolds, onions, and peppers.
Okay. Now, with beans, what were the first two next to it?
Broccoli and carrots.
Okay. So those are the things that like to be with it the most.
Okay. Is that how it is? Is it organized that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
It's organized that way, where the first things planted or the first things it mentioned are the things that it likes to be with the most. And we will put that with our post. We'll share that information. But we just did carrots and beets here. And so I want to do some beans here, some trilogy beans. So I'm just gonna grab those and some cucumbers and put them here. Cameron, while I do that, you are going to put herbs right here and in the corners to keep pests away.
Okay.
So your herbs are here, and you're going to use rosemary is a great one for putting in the corner, and thyme is another great one for putting in the corner. And then this corner and that corner.
That corner there and this corner here.
Yep.
So what we're trying to demonstrate
is that
anybody can do this, right? even while they're... So I'm going to do the best job that I can, and then Steph is going to come back and make sure it's right. So I'm going to put this actually down in this corner here. Dig this out. I think we need a little more coast of Maine. It's a little dry down there. So we'll put this in and get that. I'm going to have to put the phone down for a minute.
No, you're right. Great. We're right here.
All right. Hold on.
I'm getting marigolds.
We'll be right back after this.
Great.
After this. No, I got it. I just
See,
have to
look,
use
you're
both
farming.
hands.
You're doing
See?
great.
Look at this.
Farming
I'm a
with two hands.
Farmer Cam, you know, with his injury. So, hold on, I just knocked this out.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna put that back.
Here we
in.
go. You're doing great. We're giving you the camera
You're
back.
gonna give me back. It took me too long. All right,
Okay.
that's understandable. I get it.
Thyme is awesome as a border plant because it will get nice and big and overflow. You can see the thyme coming out of the raised bed there at the entrance to the greenhouse.
Yep.
So that can be like a really fun one to put in the corner.
Smells great.
Doesn't it? So I'm gonna put
smells
that right
amazing.
there, and that'll help with keeping pests away. And then we're gonna take our bean seed and put bean and cucumber right in here. So we're just gonna do and for beans, I'm gonna do about 10 per quadrant. And that would be, yeah, you know, I'm gonna plant 12 and I'm gonna hope for 9 or 10 to come up. Always put more seeds in the ground than what you want because you're gonna lose some to, birds are gonna get some, you're gonna lose some to squirrels, chipmunks, all the things. So always put more in, and you can thin as you need to, but definitely don't waste time and put more seed in than you think. Okay, and then we're just gonna take some marigolds. I love using marigolds around the border to keep deer and pests away. And also nasturtium. Nasturtium's an awesome one that again can either vine, it can climb up a trellis, or it can like drip over the edge of something. But aphids love nasturtium, and they go to nasturtium like a magnet. And I would much rather aphids go on my nasturtium than on my cucumbers or tomatoes. So definitely either marigolds or nasturtiums around your borders to keep, to help with pest management.
So you're just fooling the pests.
Well, no, I'm giving them something else to snack on.
Yep.
It's like, take this.
You're friendly. You're pest friendly, and
that's right. It's like I'm not saying, well, I don't want them here.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know you're going to be here anyways. Have this instead.
It's like having a party and having food for people you don't like too.
Exactly. You gotta have something for everyone.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we have our rosemary stick. Where'd that go? Rosemary. You know, I gave you one thing, Cameron. You got me all messed up here. One job. Here we go. The labels got all confusing for a second.
You know, I have a hard time reading. So.
My friends, this is an example of what our garden bed looks like now that we've square foot planted. We kept the cold crops on this side, warm crops on that side. Another thing I want to point out is that certain crops like lettuce really do well with shade. So something that I like to do is grow cucumbers on a trellis that will grow at an angle, and then put things like shade-loving plants and things that bolt in heat underneath that shade. So I have this wooden trellis that just goes at a 45-degree angle, and then cucumbers, gourds, can climb up that. Even melons, watermelons, and honeydews love to climb too. And then you can put things like lettuce underneath. So you can get super creative, but this is just an example. You don't have to be fussy out there with a ruler, but 100% definitely mind what it says for spacing on the back of seed packets and inside your seed catalogs. And happy planting! Again, we're in zone 5B in Maine, so we just put our tomatoes and peppers in here as a learning opportunity, but we're not planting those out until at least the end of the month. So take your time on that. There's no rush, but for sure go ahead and plant your cold weather crops out now. All right? Any questions, Cameron?
There are no questions coming in now.
Well, we'll post this, and I always try to answer questions as they come in after. So thanks for tuning in this Monday. We have to do a bonus episode, Cameron, because we need to go in the greenhouse and plant the tomatoes. They want to go in.
They want to go in now?
We need to plant the tomatoes. Okay. And if we're on video, let's show people our seedlings, because we're doing a seedling sale on Saturday.
Do we just want to do this right now?
No, we're not going to do it right now, unless people want us to. But
No,
we can do a separate video.
We'll do a separate video. All right. Thank you for joining us. Great job, Steph. Next week, noontime.
Companion planting. Tune in next Monday where we're going to be planting, I think, our tomatoes.
I read it this morning.
Happy
All right.
farming, farm friends.
Bye.
Yeah.